for euro at 1.8223. I already sold short. Position open for euro short position 1.18223.
Vulnerable. The areas, particularly as it relates to tech stocks in the US, could be more fragile, certainly in any sort of downturn, that we see from a global perspective. As to other markets in a sort of a more global view of things, equities have come back, pretty strongly, but not as strongly here in the US. But, can these markets retrace another 10, 15, 20%? Absolutely, really, if we do get a considered downturn, and we don't have the optimism that we've had most recently that relates to a medical solution. I think that last part is absolutely crucial. The market has continuously taken an optimistic view in terms of medical solutions to this pandemic. If that wavers, I think that'd be even more important for markets going forward.
So, Alan, would you go so far as to suggest that markets are already pricing in a vaccine coming at some point in the last quarter of this year or early next, or would that be to overstate it? Is there still some upside from success in a vaccine?
No, I think there is some, there absolutely is some upside if we do get some success. I think, what we have is a situation where there is what amounts to a fairly fat tail, that a vaccine is not necessarily all-encompassing and all-successful. And I think the markets, have some of that priced in for sure, particularly globally and particularly in sectors which have been most hurt by the pandemic. So I think there's plenty of upside. I think it would, lead to quite a rotation back into service sectors which have been most hit by, the pandemic. But, I think there's definitely upside for the overall market as well.
Alan, thanks very much for your time. Alan Ruskin of Deutsche Bank. Thanks very much for joining us. And in fact, stay with us. A little bit more to come from Alan. Let's get a Bloomberg First Word News update. Here's Ritika Gupta.
Thanks, Anna. The CDC says states should prepare for a coronavirus vaccine to be ready just a couple of days before the presidential election. That's an aggressive goal that would depend on shots being tested and reviewed by then. President Trump has previously said he thinks a vaccine will be ready by Election Day. That claim has raised questions about political interference in vaccine reviews. President Trump is once again denouncing voting by mail. He told a crowd in North Carolina that if they vote by mail, they should also go to the polls to try and vote a second time. He said that's a way to determine whether their mail ballots were actually counted. That could lead to voters violating the law if they tried to cast a second ballot. And President Trump has ordered a review of federal funding for what he calls anarchist cities. It's aimed specifically at New York, Seattle, Washington, D.C., and Portland, Oregon. All are Democratic-run cities that have had protests demanding racial justice. Any move to restrict federal funds would probably result in a court case. And in baseball, Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Seaver has died. Seaver turned the New York Mets from lovable losers to World Series champions in 1969. He's one of only two pitchers to record more than 300 wins, 3,000 strikes, and an earned run average of less than a 3.0. Tom Seaver was...
I'm placing a stop on profit for 118.2003. Stop on profit on euro at 118.203. All right. Okay, let's see where it will go.
don't. The trick is to be ready for anything. Pablo from Infrastructure Support is working every day to keep essential market data flowing seamlessly. We keep on, so you can keep on.
I closed position on euro at 118.203. We have a profit, £200.
Tomorrow we'll go beneath the headline data. Right now we are advantaged by having with us Alan Ruskin, Deutsche Bank's chief international strategist with some significant dynamics education in computer science and statistics long ago and far away. Alan, it's called Greek letter envy. And there can be alpha, there can be delta, there can be beta, there can be gamma, there's theta, and all the rest of them. What it amounts to is the management of that age-old thing, greed. Larry McDonald has a fabulous quote out today in his research note where he talks about greed breaks things. Right now, we're in the midst of some complexities as this market vaults ever higher within summer illiquidity. How does that play out?
Great question, Tom. Look, I think the equity market is clearly trying to reprice off some, unusual events that are going on. The global economy, the data surprises actually have been positive. The Federal Reserve and its change of regime, in terms of the average inflation targeting is a significant event. The 10-year yield at